Fizzled, Frazzled, Fried. Locomotives like you and I are prone to getting a little unwell throughout their lifetime. When this happens, they are sent to the railway's workshops to be repaired and maintained. Ours, being a steam engine, needs a lot of maintenance since he is very old and has a lot of moving parts. But engines like Sparrow don't need as much since he is made of newer technology. But even then, modern locomotives still need to have repairs done to them. One morning, Electra was pulling a train of logs to Warwick Junction. As she came to the hill, she started to slow down a bit more than usual.
That's odd. Usually I have no trouble with this hill.
And she added more power. But as she did, Electra could smell and feel something burning.
Ouch! My motors are not working properly.
Fortunately, she was near the top and could carefully coast down the other side.
I guess I better get them checked. Let's hope I can finish this job first.
Thankfully, the rest of the journey went smoothly. And when she finally made it to Warwick, and her deliveries were transferred to the mainline train, she hurried to the shunting yard's light engine. Trixie was there shunting wagons about ready for Rudolph's next train. She was surprised to see Electra back so soon.
Hello, Ellie. What's the matter? I think there's something wrong with my motors. Well, park yourself at the workshop bay and someone will see you shortly.
A mechanic came to inspect. And after a while of tinkering, he didn't seem pleased.
Looks like your traction motor brushes are wearing down.
So what will this mean for me?
It'll mean you'll have to pull lighter trains until we can get you some new motor brushes. Hopefully it should take a few days.
Station Mr. Stacy was informed and set to work ordering new motors and rearranging the schedules for the trains. But a few days later, the motors didn't turn up.
What do you mean the motors will be delayed?
I'm sorry, Electra, but an engine on the main line needed them as well, and the mainline locomotives have higher priority. You'll just have to keep using your current motors for a little while longer.
And so Electra had to agree on the situation.
And as a precaution, they limited her to doing only passenger duties, with one less coach.
Surely I could pull one more coach. No, Electra, this is the most you're allowed to pull.
Electra tried her best to handle the passenger trains with so few coaches. However, passengers were not happy to find that the trains were full and would have to wait for the next one.
I'm sorry, everyone, but Rudolph will be here in about 10 minutes to take the rest of you.
That morning, Sparrow was waiting at Warwick Junction. He wanted to leave but had to wait for the local train to exchange passengers.
Ugh, darn this guaranteed connection service.
At last, Electra arrived.
What kept you?
I don't mean to be late, but my electric motors are wearing down, and I have to try and handle the trains with a reduced power load.
Sounds like you should be replaced and get a modern engine like me. No railway would want to keep this run-down slow train for today's modern workloads.
That night, Electra was thinking about what Sparrow had said when Otis returned to the sheds. He had just finished the nighttime freight delivery.
Oh, evening, Electra. You're up late.
I was just thinking about things. Otis, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Do you miss pulling long trains like in the old days?
Oh, you do get used to it. Granted, I do miss the days when I could pull long heavy trains on the main line, but it's nice to haul shorter trains now. You don't need to stress as much about the strict timetables. Why do you ask?
Oh, I was just curious, I guess. Good night, Ois.
Good night, Electra. But each day that followed saw no improvement, and Sparrow continued to grumble more and more.
I've had enough. If you can't keep up, I'll leave your passengers behind.
But you're a guaranteed connection.
Try me.
At dawn the next day, Electra arrived to collect her passenger train. Making sure that no one was looking, she carefully coupled herself up to an extra coach, and as quickly as she could sped out of the yard. The little electric locomotive shuttled along the rails as best she could, picking up her passengers at every stop. There was now plenty of room for all the passengers, and no one was left waiting. But the extra coach was soon taxing on her motors, and she was having trouble keeping up with the timetable. By the time she got to Normanton Station, she was running very late. As she hurried back down the line to Warwick Junction, Electra was getting more worried. She knew the mainline connection would have to wait for her no matter what Sparrow had said, but she didn't want to make the local and mainline passengers even more late than they are now. So she pulled with all her might. Sparks flew from her motors.
Mustn't be late! Must not be late!
And then she stopped. Poor Electra had completely burnt out her motors and was now stranded. And what was worse was her train was now blocking the level crossing. Cars and trucks honked their horns in disapproval.
Electra to control! My traction motors have finally given up, and now stranded on G-Bung Crossing. Don't try to move. We'll send help quickly.
The cars, trucks, and passengers all started to complain about what a bad railway it was. Rudolph quickly arrived to help tow Electra and her train to the next station. And then took over the passenger service from there. Electra sat on her siding until she could be hauled to the workshops. A little later that day, Stacy arrived. She had to speak to a lot of people apologizing for the disrupted service, and was finally able to talk to Electra privately.
Electra, I thought you would know better than to push yourself too hard. I'm sorry, Miss Stacy. I thought I was holding everyone up due to my limitations and making the railway inefficient. I was only trying to be punctual again. Electra, it is my job to make sure the railway runs smoothly no matter what happens. And I had adjusted the timetables and jobs to compensate for your limitations. But you need to understand that there are times when you have to slow down a bit, and that others will have to accept that they can't come and go as fast as they want to. Yes, Miss Stacy. Sorry, Miss Stacy.
Trixie soon arrived to collect her.
Cheer up, Electra. Soon you'll be repaired and be out and about again.
And she was right. 2 days later, Electra's new motors finally came in, and once they were fitted, Electra was back on the Branchline once again. She felt overjoyed to be able to be as helpful as the other engines once again. Electra waited at the station for Sparrow's connection.
Hi, Sparrow. What kept you today?
Oh, I think there's something wrong with my generator today.
Well, maybe you should try and take it easy. I know from experience that sometimes it's best to slow down once in a while.